Keith Dalgleish was only 21 when rising weight problems forced him to quit the saddle as a jockey. He's now into his third season as a trainer and he's made a flying start to his new career. It was a blustery day when we visited his stables high in the hills above Carluke. Tell you what, Keith, is it almost as cold here in September?
Yeah, it is. To be honest, this is probably the first proper cool day. So I'd imagine it's a cold weather here now, but we just have to get on with it.
And looking around, I mean, the place looks spick and span, the facilities very impressive.
Yeah, they're great facilities, a couple of walkers and a good 5 furlong poly track all weather, an indoor ride, and no, it's everything I need here. You know, and the place is, you know, it's laid out nice that we're able to keep it clean, and it's something I like. It's to keep the yard in good shape.
Keith, what was your background? I mean, your earliest recollections of racing. When did you first sit in a pony, and was there any of the family involved with horse racing?
My dad, he was always involved in horses in some shape or form, and had done a bit of, you know, point to point, and obviously being from Hawick, there was always the common ridings, and I mean, I actually can't remember when I first sat in a pony. I'd imagine it was around 8 years old or something, and you know, from the age of 10, I think I started doing the common ridings, and it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, it's someplace Hawick for producing jockeys, isn't it? We've seen Liam Berridge and we've seen Wilson Rennick helping you out this morning.
Yeah, there's a few boys who come, and there's a lot of younger boys now who are getting going as well. It's seemed to done well. I think it's just the case that we're involved with the ponies and horses from such a young age.
And your first venture then into a racing yard, when did that happen?
About 15, I first went to Mark Johnson's for a week's work experience in October holidays, and that was my first real involvement with the racing, and really got hooked by it, and was mad to go back in my summer holidays and did that, and then just, you know, ended up going there when I left school and started there. Did
you go through any of the racing schools?
I didn't. I went and done a week's course at the racing school to be granted the apprentice licence, but I didn't have to. I didn't attend the 9-week course, which some people have.
And your career soon really took off. Can you remember your very first winner?
Yeah, it was Sean Tain at Cyril for Mark Johnson, and I mean, to be honest, I didn't expect to get a winner so quick. I think it was only my 4th ride, and he wasn't really fancied or anything, but he. You know, I think he carried me to victory, really.
Yeah, and big race winners and well, champion apprentice, oh so close you went, didn't you? Remember Chris Catlin just pipped you?
It was, yeah, one winner, but it was a good time, and it was a great last month of the season. You know, he was always checking whether he had a winner, and I'm sure he was checking if I had a winner, and it was right to the, you know, right to the wire. But no, it was great. Yeah,
Royal Ascot winners sort of flowed. You had a couple at Royal Ascot. You won the Chesham, you won the King George the 5th handicap. Was it Helm Bank and Fantastic Love? That must have been a great sort of meeting for you.
It was, yeah. You know, both them winners were both a short head, so I really didn't know I'd won until we'd come back in. So you know, I didn't. You know, it was kind of a bit of a surprise for both of them to win, to be honest, as well. But you know, they were great times, and you know, I was really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and a Group 3 at the Curran Gateman, and Lucky Story winning the Vintage Stakes at Glorious Goodwood in 2003.
Yes, it was good. He was, you know, a lovely big horse, and he out of all the big winners, he'd be the one that I really thought had a great chance. In that race, and he did, and he won well and went on to do, you know, good things.
You were lucky enough as well to sit on a traction. You won a couple of races in her, including, I think, was it the Hilary Needler at Beverley?
Yeah, first time I won in her Nottingham. She won her maiden, I think 11 lengths or something. Never, you know, never looked like getting beat. And then we rode her in the Hilary Needler at Beverley, and similar thing. I think she won 5 lengths or something. And you kind of knew after that, the way she, you know, performed in listed events, she was going to be serious, and she went on to do some, you know, fantastic things.
And then I don't know, maybe arguably your biggest win the Group 1 in Germany on Jovana's pace. I think that was back in 2002.
Yeah, it all seems so long ago now, but that was probably the highlight. Just the fact that he was a 10-year-old. I think he's still the oldest horse ever to win a Group 1, and I think Mark got a great sense of achievement out of that too, and it was fantastic, really.
And then less than 300 winners, Keith. The weight started to go up. You're a big lad, 6 foot, and I mean, just towards the end, it must have been torture for you.
It was really. I suppose when I started off, I hadn't really grown up or filled into my frame, and it was only probably when I hit 20 that I started to grow, and then just gradually my weight. I wasn't doing anything different, but my weight was just creeping up, and one day I'd wake up and I just couldn't get below 8.5, and then a month later it'd be 8.7, and I was thinking, what's happening? I suppose I was just growing and filling out, and it just came to the point where I suppose even 9 stone was a struggle, and as a flat jockey, you need to be doing 8, 9, something like that to be competitive, and it just kind of got out of hand, and to call it a day, really.
And you did have a go at jumping, but I mean, I don't think you were out. Your heart was never in that, was it?
No, to be honest, it wasn't. I think I mainly done that because everybody was telling me to do it, rather than because I wanted to do it. And if you don't want to do something, it ain't gonna work.
And do you consider yourself fortunate to have tasted success in the flat, or unlucky to have been born into such a big frame?
No, it was great. The fact that I got going so young. If I didn't get a chance when I was young, I would have never been able to do what I did. And obviously what I done on the flat has helped me down the line for finding jobs and probably where I'm stood today.
And carrying on from your days with Mark Johnson, I see you've retained your association with Joe Fanning. He's one of the jockeys you use regularly.
Yeah, we use Joe when we can get him. And I just feel, his experience and the positions he puts horses in races is key, really. He's always in the right place, and always, if the horse is good enough, he almost certainly wins on it.
And other jockeys that you have in and out?
We use Tommy Eves and Paul Mulrennan when available also, and we've had a good relationship with them. And Andrew Mullen rides out once a week, and he rides a few winners for us too. So that's kind of who we try and use.
And as you're legging a jockey up in the paddock onto one of yours, Keith, do you ever think, I wish that was me getting up there?
I suppose occasionally. You always have the notion to maybe get back on a horse and race, but to be honest, it's probably best off in their hands. And
standing here today at Belstane Stables, I mean, how did the journey bring you here?
Just really, Noel Wilson was training here, and there was a head lad's job going, and I quite fancied being back in Scotland. So Noel was kind enough to give me the job, and I came up, and then Noel decided he would like to go back down to Yorkshire. So the owner then, Gordon McDowell, asked me if I'd like to have a crack at training, and we did, and that's what happened. And speaking of Gordon McDowell, you've recently got the yard in the business in your own name now. Yeah, the 1st of August. Gordon was great to me, and he really helped me over the first year, getting horses and etc. And he just felt that it was time maybe for him just to take a step back and let me venture out on my own, and he was happy to sell me the yard, and we, that's where we are now. Looking around the place, we just touched on it. I mean, the gallops, I mean, albeit windswept, I mean, great facilities. You've got horse walkers, the indoor ride, which I believe kept you going during that bad winter. It did, yeah. I mean, when I first came up here, to do an interview with Noel for the job, I was quite surprised at the facilities that were here. I mean, you just imagine, in Scotland, it's just they're not going to be to maybe this standard. But we have everything we need. I mean, there's 2 horse walkers, one holds 10, one's 6, 5 furlong polytrack. The indoor ride, as you said, I mean, I think there was 2 weeks in the winter when the snow was so bad that we could only use that, and that kept them going. Are you surprised how you've done? I mean, you're into your 2nd season. You're not even 30. I mean, you've had more winners than I suppose you would have.